welcome to WoW Wednesday with Brett. We are going to continue on with what we were discussing last WoW Wednesday about going to church, being held accountable for your own salvation. And I wanted to elaborate a little bit on that for the newcomers or the new goers. It's going to be coming to church this coming Sunday because of Easter. So if you're thinking what we talked about last WoW Wednesday is that I'm just not good enough, God's not ever going to forgive me, my sins are too big. We talked about how God, when we say that we're saying that God is not over everything, that he cannot conquer everything, that we're putting him in this box, and that our might and what we feel like that we have messed up in our life, that he is not capable and able to forgive those sins.
And we talked often about, I'm not qualified. You know, you're called to serve. We did a deal, one of our first, I think our first one we did was about service and how important that is in your church. If you can open a door, you can serve. And I think we've used it here before, and you'll probably hear it again and again and again and again until you're sick of hearing it. But what is it? God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. So when we went into the children's home ministry, yeah, we just thought we were ready. And no.
So interesting fact. If you think, you know, Tasia's got this down pat and she's doing really well with this, I'm just going to let you on a little secret. I was leaving the church this afternoon and I was trying to check my phone to see if I have any messages. And if anybody has a phone like mine, you tap it twice and it comes on. Well, you know what I was doing to try to check my messages? I was hitting my car clicker twice to lock my door and couldn't figure out why my phone wasn't coming on. So no, I'm not qualified. I am not qualified. So on any account, if you're thinking, you know, in my mind, when I think of saints and I think of the people of the Bible and how holy that they were, you kind of think about, you know, well, they made mistakes, but, you know, they may have like stolen a pen or, you know, well, I mean, like, you know, like the quills, or maybe like, you know, a rock and a wedge or something from the temple. But I've got a list here of people that were really naughty. So Noah was a drunk. Did you know that?
I heard that, yes.
Did you know that, you know, he kind of liked to rouse it up on Saturday night?
I've heard that.
Yeah. Hard for him to get up on Sunday mornings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you know Abraham was really old?
Yes, I did know that.
Really
He's kind of up there in my age range, you know, up close to 100.
How about Jacob? Did you know he lied?
No, I did not know that.
Jacob and Esau.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, click.
Mm-hmm. Did you know Leah was ugly?
I'm not sure I knew Leah.
Leah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I didn't know she was ugly. I never seen a picture of. My Bible had pictures, but most times it was Noah's Ark and stuff like that.
You know, you gotta be ugly if the Bible is saying she was ugly. Like her best quality to be quoted in the Bible was
she was ugly.
I bet she's cute. I bet she's pretty now, though.
Sorry, man, we're not.
And she could have been, you know, covered in moles, you know, or had the witch's nose. Okay. So Joseph was abused.
I didn't know. No? Mm-hmm. At least he didn't carry on that trait. Yeah.
Well, and you know, too, a lot of people that come from abusive situations think that I'm not clean or I'm unholy.
I'm damaged.
Yep. Moses had a stuttering problem.
Yeah.
You knew that. Gideon was afraid.
Really? I just thought he did both. I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
It's pretty popular. It's one in every hotel room in America.
That's right. Right. Not bad for a man that was afraid to follow God, right? See what else? Samson had long hair, so he was a hippie.
Right.
And he
liked to chase skirts too.
He was a womanizer. Yep. Got him in trouble. Delilah she was ornery.
Very wicked bad.
She was fasty. Rahab. Pastor Sam's talked a lot about Rahab. Yep. Rahab was a prostitute and probably one of the most honorable women of the Bible. When you go back and when you go back and you read about her and what she did in favor for God and for
Before
God's
that, she
people.
just had a whole line of houses.
David had an affair, and he was a murderer.
Okay,
So Bathsheba,
right, yeah, that's true.
yeah. Elijah was suicidal. All Elijah wanted was a snack and a nap.
Oh,
That's all he wanted. He was fine. I feel that.
yeah,
I like my snacks.
you're not suicidal for it, but
I like my naps. No, I'm not suicidal, but I get
cranky,
angry.
hangry. She's hangry.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gets hangry.
Isaiah preached naked. I think this is a new one for both of us.
Yeah,
Talk about cray. You know, people looked around him was like, "Where's your underwear?
yo, your thing's hanging out.
Where's your Speedo?"
I can't listen to you when you send it for looking like that. Come on, man, really?
Jonah ran from God.
So he ends up well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Naomi was a widow.
I thought she was a judge. She was a widow.
She was a widow. She
She
went to
could've
go
been-
live with her
I think
daughter-in-law.
sure that Naomi wasn't. Maybe she was a widow, or she had Winona.
Oh.
They sing about
Yeah.
not me.
You're gonna get people so confused. I'm trying to help people, and you're gonna confuse them. He's like,
I'm just
they're gonna
trying
be
to
like
keep everything on track here.
singers,
Yeah.
country and western. That's not in the Bible.
Well, now a lot of people that's watching this that are new Christians, and only Naomi they knew was from the judge.
Job went bankrupt.
He went bankrupt. He did, lost it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So bankruptcy. You don't manage your money well. Stewardship.
He lost it all.
He lost it all.
Everything.
Mhm.
Family, property, animals.
But he kept his wife.
He did.
What does that say about her?
Yeah.
Peter denied Jesus
3 times.
3 times. And you know what?
Jesus told him before he would.
When I was researching this, 4 times. 4 different books in the Bible. The rest of these saints, 1 time. Scriptural reference. Peter denying Jesus 4 times. Learn from his mistake.
Everybody wrote about it.
Learn from his mistake. The woman at the well was divorced 5 times.
They did know that.
And was living with another one.
And did such tremendous work. We've been talking a lot in church about planting the seed so that somewhere down the road someone else can reap it. They can reap it. And how we've been doing some outreach in the communities and how just us planting the seed today could possibly be reaped down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what she was doing. I think Pastor Stan touched on that this past week.
Mm-hmm.
About she went into the city and told everybody about Jesus. And then when he came, he was known because of her.
Yeah.
She went in and laid the groundwork for him.
Yeah. And she didn't even care about her sin anymore. Like, she was so ashamed, she would go to the well at a different time where she didn't have to face the other women in the village. But after she had her encounter with Christ,
She didn't care.
she didn't care. She just told
She was
everybody.
going right during the hot part of the day.
Yep.
When no one else was doing.
Yep. Paul was too religious, which we talked about, being a zealot, persecuting Christians.
Yeah.
And Lazarus, he was pretty stinky.
Yeah, he was dead.
He was. If God could use a dead man, what can he use you for? What is your reasoning? Are you too sinful? Are you too unclean? Why can you not meet Jesus? Some of the excuses that we've heard throughout the years, again, we've been hurt by the church. We don't go to church because we've been really hurt by the church. And another one is the people just were too judgmental. And I listened to something here recently. You know, I've been listening to that book in the mornings, the New You by Stephen Furtick, and I thought, this is really going to be a gimmick, but he's really got some good points in there. And one of the things it talks about is removing the speck from your own eye before you judge somebody else about the speck in their own eye. And he actually said it's easier to judge someone else than it is to judge yourself. So if you walk into a church and they know you for whatever reason, if you are having an affair, or if you were out at the bar, or you embezzled money, whatever the cause may be, you weren't held accountable, you lied and didn't show up for work, whatever the reason, and you feel like people are placing judgment on you, just know that they have not taken into account to look at themselves. Because you know what a church is? A church is not a place full of holy people. A church is a place, it's a hospital for broken people spiritually that are there to be healed, to have an encounter with Jesus.
If you're going to church to satisfy other people, or you're going to church worried about other people, you may be going to church for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
You're going to church to talk to God, to experience God, not just talk to him, because you can do that at home.
Mhm.
If you're going for that experience, and if you're worried about everyone else's opinions, you probably need to focus more on why the reason you're there.
Mhm.
And if other people are in the church that are doing or saying things that is there to hurt you, first of all, if you're, say you're drunk and everybody knows you're drunk, and you walk into church on Sunday morning, you're clean and sober, or you're trying to get clean and sober, they should be supporting that, not looking down their nose at it.
Yeah.
And if you get in the right church, and it takes a while, I went through a phase after I kind of stepped out of the cowboy church where I had been 7 years and worked very hard for that church. And I went to a different church every week for several weeks. And you got to do the research, folks. You're not going to just walk into the first church you come to and go, this is it. Me and Tasia were looking for a church when we started our foster care. We had a church we loved, but it was just not going to be a thing we could attend every Sunday.
Yeah.
And so we started searching before we ever had a kid. And we were looking for a church that, it seems like you have churches out there that have an awesome kids program, but the adults aren't getting fed. Or you have a church out there that is feeding you, but has nothing to do for your kids. And so you've got to find that balance. You've got to do your work. And nobody said that you're going to walk into the first church and this is going to be home forever.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to find a church that that you believe in. And you get along the lines of, okay, I'm listening to the preacher, and the preacher's explained this to me, but you're accountable for that. You're accountable for checking that preacher and making sure what he's telling you is true. And just because you have a viewpoint, the pastor's telling you this is what the book says, and you're reading the book and you have a different interpretation, depending on your experience, that's not saying, oh, I'm not going back to that church because the preacher, he's not doing this right. You have a difference of opinion on one little thing in all those books of the Bible, one little thing that you have a disagreement about. Mm-hmm. Next week's going to be a different topic.
You want to come up?
And 99% of the time, he's teaching you right, but you got to do your homework too. And it's the same way when you're looking for church. You're going to have to go out there and find them. You're going to have to go out there and look and do your homework and do your research and spend the time looking for that, rather than just expecting that church you walk into to be perfect. Really, dude?
That's what Cash says about church.
Hmm.
Well, I know I talk a lot about Light in the Wilderness and how much that we have grown since we've been there, and just the encounters that we've had with God since we've been there, and growing in our spiritual walk. The level of maturity and responsibility that has came with that. But I really, our leadership team is just phenomenal. I found a new respect for Pastor Stan this last Sunday, because when we were doing prayer before the main service, he was saying, this is the scripture from the Bible. Now, this is my interpretation. Now, you may not agree with this, but I'm telling you my interpretation of it, and you need to go back and research it and see in your spirit how you feel about it. And so he wasn't one of those. We've been to those churches. We've been to those churches where this is it. This is
the way.
This is the way.
God popped me on the back of the head and told me to tell you this.
Yeah.
every pastor out there is giving you his interpretation.
Yeah.
And so it's up to you to verify.
Yeah.
Um,
So before you step into those doors this Sunday and say, I don't know what your story is. You are an alcoholic, like you have a problem with alcohol, and maybe you're just getting to the point of admitting that to yourself, of maybe that you have too much to drink, but you're not ready to commit to that. Don't let that stop you from coming to church. The only way that you're going to be able to solve any problem, drugs, alcohol, infidelity, any insecurity, any kind of abuse, you're not going to be able to heal it on the first trip to church, and probably not the fifth trip to church.
and that's one of the excuses we've talked about. You know, a lot of people come up and they say, "Hey, I need to get my life straight before I come and talk to Jesus."
Yeah.
You need to come talk to Jesus, and he'll help you get your life straight.
It's going to be your love for Christ that's going to help you change that.
Because if you're waiting to get your life straightened up before
Yeah.
you come to church and talk to Jesus about it, you'll never ever get into the shape
Yeah.
that you need to be in
Yeah.
to come and present yourself.
Because these people right here that we were naming off, these people didn't wait. These people went to God and said, you know what? If you'll take me as I am, I'll follow you.
Probably some of them got tapped on the shoulder and said, "Hey, dude, you're up." And they're going, "Hey, dude, I stutter. I'm 99 years old."
Yeah.
You know, they've got an excuse just like we do.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, just take that into account when you're visiting this weekend. If you don't feel like that's your church, wherever you're visiting, but you're still hungry for a church, you're wanting to know more, you're yearning for more, try another church.
but this is one of the things, what's one of the rules that we had when we were out trying churches? We tried to do 3 times each.
Yeah.
As we went to church, we went to 3 times because you're going to get a whole different feel, outlook. And if you get the wrong outlook on the first time, then it's ruined you. The church, it could be your permanent home.
Yeah.
So try to give your church, if you're going to go visit it, give it 2 or 3 shots. And that way you're getting a full effects of it, because it'll change, week to week. We may be working on the Spirit this week, or we may be working on baptism this week, or we may be working on speaking in tongues this week, or we may be working on, and until you find something that's catching your interest, then that 1 week may have just been a subject that you didn't need to deal with.
Easter service is always chaotic. It's always chaos. So go in with an open heart and an open mind and just say, God, show your presence here. Show your presence here. This is where I need to be.
Thank God, not cash.
Why are you so needy tonight? Are you needing church? Huh? Well, you had a lot to say. Well, go let you look at the camera. You look up here. Say hi. He's like, no. Turn the camera off, Mom. It's our time. All right. So maybe you got something out of it. Maybe you didn't. If you did, you're welcome. If not,
Go look up Naomi in the Bible.
tune in next week. Maybe Brett will have something from Naomi from the Bible. See y'all later.